Hey, thank you for pulling this together at such short notice.
For Terry Moore, we do whatever Terry Moore asks for. That's been the rule at this podcast. You're one of our royalty. You, Jeff Smith, the Hernandez brothers, they say go, we say yep. I
How
mean,
fast?
if I'd had to, I would have stayed at school and recorded there. I mean,
Maybe.
I was just happy you were willing to wait till 7.
Hey, I've got my Dr. Pepper. I'm all peppered up. I'm ready to talk and
There you go.
tell you what's wrong with this world.
Well, before we get into what's wrong with this world, because God, can we spend a ton of time on that?
Mm.
Let's talk some really complete Paradise too, because this is like the only thing of yours that I haven't read all of, partially because there's new stuff being added to it, but partially because I just haven't managed to collect all of the back issues.
Those guys right there.
Yeah, I think I have
14 of them, yeah.
I think I have eight. I think I have eight.
Okay.
Uh so there's going to be new stuff to me. So give us your pitch.
Okay. Um, the whole thing about me is that I started as a cartoonist, drawing at home, drawing comic strips because I really wanted to be in the newspapers. When I was growing up, that made me happy. And comic books were way over my head. That was the great men like Kirby and, um, well, I'm sure there was somebody else, but there was Kirby. So, no, all the guys, Steve
Right,
Ditko and everybody.
right.
So I know
Romita.
that was another lane. That was a fast lane I couldn't picture, but I did love the comic strips. And so when I was going home at night after work, I draw comic strips. And what happened was that the 10 years previous to my entry into comic books, um, I had been developing a lot of different characters and trying them and sending them off to newspaper syndicate editors. Everything was rejected. But the little bit of advice I got from them, I've used it my whole career in comics. I got good advice. Um,
Good advice is a good thing.
yeah. Um, so basically, what happened was I realized one night I wasn't going to make it in as a comic strip guy. Already, it was already starting to slow down and shut down. And I was thinking, I keep showing up for these industries just as they're folding, like rock and roll and newspaper strips. And so I realized I was on the back end curve of that, and I needed to look forward. And I saw the indie movement, the indie comics, and that touched a nerve. In high school, I loved underground comics. We all did. We didn't have South Park, so we had underground comics and
There
Robert
you
Crumb
go.
and all that. So there. Well, so I thought, well, I'll go through my comic strips and pull out my best characters, the only original characters that I have in there, and put them all into a comic book story and just make something up. And that's what I did, and I called it Strangers in Paradise because I had developed this feisty lady and the girl next door and the nice guy and the jerk boyfriend. I had developed all these iconic little character, my cast in comic strips. And so I went off into a comic book career and focused on that, and it worked. And now, years later, I was thinking, I should share these strips because I really like them. And I began putting out a little site while I was finishing up the second half of Strangers in Paradise, like the last 5 years of it. I started putting out these little bitty print runs of Paradise 2, and it was the comic strips. And it would show you where the first Kachu drawing was and the first Francine girl next door was and all that. But the print run was tiny. I mean, like I only printed a few copies and gave them to my mom, and I think she's recycled them all. So,
Well,
uh,
this is where I'm going to give the shout out to Keith's Comics in Schaumburg, who not only buys all of your stuff directly from you because he wants you to get more money, not cut out the diamond middleman, but I know that every time he comes across any of your stuff, he'll buy it just to put in his bins for people who are looking for it. Um, and that's where I found about half of my Paradise too, just because. And he does, and again, I mean, he knows that he could price them higher, but he likes to, I mean, you have a section on a spinner rack with graphic novels, and there's certain people, and you're one of them that even though he knows he can get more, it's like if I got it for 50 cents, I'm charging $3. You know,
That's amazing.
because I want
We
it to go to the person who's looking for it.
I think Keith is one of those people I knew from year one.
Yeah.
The once you start your motion towards something like I want a new career in something, you usually find what the motivational speakers refer to as guides. Guides will show up, spiritual guides will show up. And Keith was my spiritual guide. He put a smile on this strange new business, and it made it seem warm and inviting, like the friendly guy on your first day to new school. That was
Well,
Keith for me.
I will make a point of telling him that the next time I'm in, because I know that he will very much appreciate it.
There were a handful of guys that were really keeping the new indie people on their radar, and Keith was one of them,
Yeah,
and Rory Root and Brian Hibbs and people
right,
like that.
right.
So yeah, we needed them.
Yeah.
You need
No,
some.
it's not my local shop. It took me way too long to come across it, but once I did, it's like, okay, this is one of my circuit stores,
Yeah.
when you live in Chicagoland, you always have to drive, I mean, it's between me and my son. So it's like, oh, going to see the grandkids, stop at Keith's. You know.
I think,
Um,
and a lasting impression from Keith is he showed me that the right way to eat pizza is to put pepper on it, and I've been doing that ever
okay.
since.
Okay.
So,
I
yeah.
don't think I've tried that. I recently tried peanut butter on pepper on pizza because of Paul Tobin, and it worked better than I expected.
That's
But
basically pita bread with peanut butter pita bread with
no, no,
other
no.
stuff in the way.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, no, it was a cheese, and I give him lots of credit because he said when he did his, it was with pineapple, and I like pineapple on pizza too, so I did mine.
Sure.
And essentially I took like a personal pizza and spread peanut butter, or it was just a cheese pizza with pineapple, spread peanut butter on it and folded it over and ate it as a pizza peanut butter sandwich. And it worked for me. But
I,
pepper, I'm gonna have to try that.
I'm going to trust you on that one. I haven't done it. But next
I
time you have a slice of pepperoni in front of you, sprinkle black pepper on it,
Yeah,
and it just kind of opens it up. It's really good.
I believe that. That I'm surprised I haven't thought of that because I love black pepper.
Thank you, Keith.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Keith through Terry. So yeah, no, I said in the email, I've been around a lot of Kickstarters and I've seen a lot of Kickstarters blow past their goals and even do so relatively quickly. But yours was the first time that I got the alert. By the time I got to the page, there were only three backers. And you were even at three backers, I think one of your early backers must have been really big because at three backers, you were already high, like over $1,000, that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay. And the time it took me to check out, you blew over the 35,000 goal. And I didn't think I'd taken that long. I mean, I did actually look at all of my options before choosing one, but I didn't. Yeah, I had students around. I wasn't like taking a ton of time. We're talking
Is
like
it
two
longer than you
minutes.
thought?
Wow.
you know, um, and then it did take me longer to put together my Blue Sky post to tell the world, hey, go back Terry Moore, because I had students around, but not like a ton longer. It took me like 10 minutes longer. And by the time I had posted, you were at 70,000. As I look right now with 24 days to go, you're at 133,000. So this is where I ask, A, were you expecting it to blow up this much? And B, what's the coolest like stretch goal that we can get you to go after?
Oh, wow.
Ooh, that second question is loaded.
Yes, it
That's a loaded question because we were just talking about that here. Um, Well, yeah, we were super, Robin and I, our desks are side by side, and we were both watching our computer. We were just thinking of nothing else but this launch, and we watched it in real time, and we were just kind of, after a couple of minutes, we were kind of, yeah, we were kind of giddy. We were kind of
I would
happy.
think so.
We were kind of happy. And we had expected, um, because I'm also a pinup artist and I put my drawings out there, I have these guys who really support my art, and I was expecting them to be there to go pick up those. We had 10 slots for
I think.
commissions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
didn't get a commission.
No,
I would like to get to that point.
they were like $1 trillion each or something, and
Yeah, that was the
they were a
price you
lot.
quoted me in Chicago.
Yeah. So those kind of helped us get a jump start there. And, but yeah, man, we were so excited, and this is only our second Kickstarter, so
Yeah,
we're
and
still
the
inventing.
first one did relatively well, but I feel like this one's already more successful.
Well, and it's all kind of new for us. I mean, this is like putting out my second comic book. I mean,
Right.
this is my second Kickstarter. It's very exciting. It's very. I'm still kind of walking around wondering. I'm still trying to figure out, like, can I update something without crashing it? That kind of thing. So I'm not very cocky or confident about it yet.
No, no, actually, that's a common. Yeah, Matt's, I think, dumped and came back. Um, that's a common thing is people trying to figure out how to make the Kickstarter do the things they want it to do, not
Hmm.
not over promising, not under believing in themselves, figuring out the software, you know. I mean, that's you talked about it more extensively last time you were on, so I don't want to like reinvent the wheel, but that's where you're lucky to have Robin. You've got the person who's figured out, oh, this is where we send it to print, and this is how we
Yeah, I knew
um
how to be the indie guy with the low print run
right.
and just kind of work out of boxes in the garage. I knew how to do that part. And then Robin came on, and it became, now we have a warehouse, we have inventory, we have real business, and she takes all the fulfillment seriously. And then when it got time to do the Kickstarter, we were fortunate to hook up with Pat Shand.
Okay.
And he's the guy who introduced us, to the world of how it works. I'll get you started. I'll build the framework. You give me the graphics and all that, and I'll get it
Okay.
loaded into the app. And then over that first experience and this experience, we've managed to, like, okay, I'm a lot more hands-on now, loading the
Right.
graphics and walking through the site and everything. So it's not, if you're just used to having a computer and doing things online, it's not anything anybody can't do. It's, yeah, it's not rocket science. You
But
just
this
load
is
up
when
your
we
stuff.
start talking about, your average indie cartoonist. So many of them don't even. I mean, I know many of them that I love dearly, but 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 like Twitter is sometimes hard for them.
Oh, that's true. We do have, there is a,
They can
there is a,
draw very well. They can write very well, but mouse, I don't want a mouse in my house. Oh, you mean the pointy thing?
well, you will find that there's two kinds of indie guys. There's the people who do know their way around a computer, and they can put
Right.
their book together themselves, get it to the printer, go out, self-promote, run a business, run the table, and there are 9 graphic novels. There's that group, which I have tried to hang out with those people. And then there's the other guys who, like, all I want to do is drink beer and draw. That's all. And how it
I
gets into a book, I don't know.
I would say that there's a third group because there is
Okay.
the group that's really good at drawing, doesn't really drink beer, but still hasn't wrapped their head around the rest of the stuff, but is working really hard to,
Hmm.
or can do it just well enough. But like if you have much of a business head, you look at it and go, oh my God, you're making this so much harder on yourself than you need to.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're not even going to talk about the fourth group, which is just really grumpy old men who don't
Well,
want to
okay,
do
yeah, we
things.
won't talk about that. I mean, sometimes the grumpy old men are fun. I talked to one recently. I had a good time. I hope to talk to him again.
If you catch them on a good day and talk about what they want to talk about, they're a delight.
Actually, he told me specifically, and you can go back and listen to it because I think we were recording at this point that he was exhausted. It was a bad day, so it was my perfect opportunity to take advantage of him. And then gave me a hard time when I told him I didn't want to take advantage of him. I just wanted to talk comics.
I I will
And he was
confess
so grumpy that he told me he that I would learn one day.
I confess I'm a lot older than when I started this job.
Right.
And when we were at New York Comic Con last year, um, it was a tough con, and everybody was coming down with COVID and everything.
Oh yeah.
Still, I was getting my second COVID there at the show. And on Sunday or something, I was standing there and I did not want to be there.
Oh.
And for the first time ever, I thought, oh, this is how you turn into one of those grumpy old guys who are just snarling at you or keep their head down the whole time and just draw a Wolverine or whatever. I'm turning into one right here at the
Oh.
con.
Well, but clearly you've already gotten over it because you're
I
laughing
got
at
over
me.
it. It passed like COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was COVID or the grumps.
I mean, everybody, I do a limited number of cons myself in part because as I find myself telling this story more often than I probably should because it's embarrassing to me. Uh, I went to like a couple of cons when I was a teenager, and for whatever reason, thought that Artist Row was like the professionals only area. And therefore, I didn't want to go bother people like you or whatnot. I thought that that wasn't my domain. And therefore, it was just really, really busy for overpriced stuff that I could buy at the shop.
Oh,
And I
okay.
spent like 2 decades not doing cons.
Oh man, poor guy. You should have Googled that. How do I do cons?
Well, you have to understand that the two cons that I went to, I went to I went to San Diego in '97. Dumb
Wow.
luck. I was in LA on a vacation and heard about it on the radio, and we drove down. So like
Wow.
it's not like we went out there for it, and it was before San Diego couldn't buy tickets on the day you got there. But that was I saw the big artist alley. I'm like, okay, so that's where the pros go, and we go over here.
So it was like you thought of it like a green room, like, oh, don't go over there.
Right, right.
Well,
I
no,
didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't want.
get
Sometimes
out.
I'd like hang on the edge. Is somebody gonna? Is that
Uh-huh.
We're
somebody
gonna
I?
throw pencils at you.
And I was there with my dad and little brothers, and they weren't. I mean, my dad was my dad had gotten me into comics, but he'd never been like a con level comic guy, and he'd been a comic guy like mostly before cons existed, right?
Mhm. He
Uh,
was a spinner rack guy.
right. Well, no, he
Yeah.
was probably he was a well spinner rack and like drugstore guy,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, he sometimes tells the story of came home one day with too many comic books and his grandma Grace, my great grandma, was like, Timmy, I know you only had a quarter. He started to try to give her a line, and she's like, Timmy. And she marched him back to give back the comics that he'd
Oh
stolen.
boy. He was putting one inside the other.
Something like that. Who
Yeah.
knows? He does he doesn't tell that part of the story. He tells the not being able to lie to his grandmother.
Oh yeah.
He tried, but
Those things were passed around
oh
like
yeah,
like
that's what I
notes
hear.
in school. I mean,
Yeah.
comics were
That was
just
the purpose. That was the whole point.
and if you moved to a new block and had to meet new people, I mean that was they wanted to
Your
go through your
introduction.
collection. They would borrow some. Sure, you can take them and read them. That's how you
Mhm.
made friends.
That's the second time I've heard about making stories through comics. The first time it was actually when Mark Hamill was on Kevin Smith's podcast. And Mark Hamill was talking about that, and Kevin just starts laughing, and Mark's like, "What? You did that in your neighborhood too?" And he's like, "No, in my neighborhood it was Star Wars toys."
Oh,
Funny.
So since we talked to you last, we talked to you right after you'd finished up Serial, and you were still deciding what the next book was going to be, and it wound up being Parker Girls. Talk
Oh,
to me
okay.
about Parker Girls, because it was one of the things that you kicked around literally to us sitting there going, is Terry thinking out loud?
Yeah, I do that. I do that. And it's funny because here I am talking to you right now at this moment in time. Um, now that I've got the Kickstarter going, I am
Starting
finishing
to
up
think about what
building the
next.
actual book that we're making for the
Right.
Kickstarter. And it's time for me to start another book
I
again.
still want to get to know their kids more. That's
Hmm.
my vote again. It was my vote last time too.
Well, somebody was asking me, we answered a question on my YouTube uh, Sunday show. The question was, would you do a Stranger's Paradise #2 and go back? And my answer is no, because they work so hard to get where they are. We should just leave them alone. And they don't care about us right now. All they care about is their family and all that. So it's like they've checked out on us, you know? It's like,
But that's what I'm saying. Do like the 3 or 5 issue, just like Dennis the Menace, Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes ish family
what's going on
story.
at the house, or get
Yeah.
you at a
I
school
mean,
board meeting, or
half of my favorite parts of Strangers in Paradise were the domestic parts.
yeah, yeah.
So give us that month, that 2 months where Kachu is not being dragged anywhere, where
Uh,
they're being kept, if you need a like kickstart, go read Tom King's back parts of Wonder Woman right now, where he's got Lizzie, Diana's daughter, being babysat by Damian Wayne and John Kent and just driving them batshit crazy.
I
Kid
love
stories
stories.
are fun.
Yeah, yeah. And that appeals to my cartooning roots as well. You know,
Right.
it's just like how bad can it get around the house? Real bad. I'll tell you how.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I have grandkids. I know.
yeah. There you go.
They get
So
loud
they
and they
did.
break things, and
Oh
then
yeah.
they get quiet and they start to cry, and then they play with the animals, and then they're scared of the animals, and then the animals are their best friends again. I mean, and this is all in like 1 hour at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's wild. I don't know. Yeah. Part of me wants to do that.
See, every time you come on until you do that, I'm going to plant the seed again.
Okay.
Just promising you right now,
Okay.
because
Like
I want
Inception
to,
until you think it's your
even if
idea.
it's just like an
Until I think
oversized one shot, I want to see that story.
okay, so Parker Girls is not at all like that.
No,
Nope, not
no,
at all.
no, it's not.
Oh man, Parker Girls is the opposite of that.
Pretty much.
Okay, so Parker Girls is the series that came out since I last talked to you, and it was 10 issues again.
Yep.
And it's just a quick story about um, one of Kachu's old clients back in the days when she was in LA with Darcy Parker and doing all the bad girl stuff. Um, this guy has become a tech billionaire. And he looks an awful lot like a tech billionaire that we would recognize. Um, and he has come up with, one of the things they all love to invest in is anything to do with the all the satellite zone up in space. There's trillions of satellites up there, and they all want one. And so he's kind of figured out some what they used to have a Star Wars idea. I think it may have actually. I wonder if this was a James Bond villain idea where they were going to connect all the satellites and use them as a grid to form a weapon that could pull, strike down, which is kind of a really, I hear Russia's trying to work on that right now too.
Well, I mean, all of the satellites are owned by one guy that I don't like to talk about.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
mean,
I think it's the
all
guy
Russia
I'm
has to
writing
do,
about.
probably, yeah,
I think it's the guy I'm writing about. So
yeah.
he goes to the Global Convention and announces his wonderful idea, like it's a blessing on humanity. You can click on your phones, and all the satellites that we put up in the last 3 years had my attachment on them, and we've now got a grid, and you're welcome. And of course, it's all for his own benefit. Well, Tambi and her um, national security people, they're not going for that. So they send in the Parker girls after this guy. Um, and Kachu's involved in that. But there's also a real Parker girl that we've never really met before named Kelly. And she is just amazing. She's the epitome of what I always pictured a Parker girl could do from one spectrum to the other. So it's really about watching Kelly work her way through that story. And then Kachu tries to go in and help, but she just gets herself in trouble. And it's Kelly and all them that get her out.
She's off her game.
Well,
She
yeah,
went and
she
became a parent, and
she has a lot of attitude,
training the
but
same. Yeah,
there's a difference
Yeah, but she has
between
history with the guy.
yeah, but
she
that's
has history with the guy, and
it's a
then
young
that's why
person's
she went
game.
in there. Yeah. So, but it gets messy. I mean, she's not like Jason Bourne where she always wins. However, Kelly is. So that's what it was about those
And
billionaires that want to connect all the satellites and do us a great service. No,
and
thank
it
you.
was there's certain things that I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand how putting trust in government can be difficult, but there are certain things like I trust way more in a government that we can mold through an electorate than I do in the hands of, billionaires who
Yep.
we may or may not even know their names.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a different lane, and they do live in a bubble, and humanity is a theory to them, a percentage and a theory.
Yep.
That was actually kind of a running theme in my book Echo as well, where there was an atomic device,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the theme of the book was we're are a regular person, who even somebody who's down on their luck is is going to be more relatable and trustable than a big movement without enough checks and balances.
Mhm.
So there's a same thing there, I guess.
I fell down a rabbit hole trying to find a good Gwen Stacy picture. I'm finding many, but it's easier for Kelly to do the screen prints if they're inked, and I'm not finding them
Oh, do you want me to ink one for you?
yet. Not if
I
Terry's already inked one.
Okay, well that's fine. But if he hasn't, I'll be happy to do it.
I I probably have 20 Gwen Stacy drawings on my computer somewhere, scattered around through the last few years. I would have to go looking for them. And then
Well, I mean, if you have a favorite, we can go with that.
okay.
If it's not inked, I'd be happy to do it.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, it won't be the first time that we've made a T-shirt on demand for the show. We do a heavy metal book club, and I've got a Mobius T-shirt over here that came about because Dylan Gilbertson said, "Hey, that would make a good T-shirt," and I said, "I can make that happen," and started sending a text to my wife while we were still talking.
Wow. Every time I think about heavy metal, I start hearing the Glenn Frey theme song, and I picture that the lady coming down and doing. Oh, I picture the whole opening scene and everything. It was amazing. I was blown away when I was young and saw that.
I still need to go see the movie.
Uh-huh.
It's another one of those places where shelter's not the right way. I have holes in my geekdom. I just have holes in my geekdom, and one of them's the heavy metal movie.
It's
One of
not
them used to be Comic Cons, and one of them's the heavy metal movie. Do you have any con plans this year, Terry?
I do. I probably have about 6 or 7 appearances. And I don't have it to memory, but yeah, I am going out this year. And I'm actually looking forward to it because, the last 3 years of isolation is just, it sucks and I'm over it. So I got a lot of work done, but now I'm a head case, so I need to go out and see people.
I mean, it seemed like you had a reasonably good time in Chicago. That's the one place I saw you.
Yeah,
I had a
Chicago's
concussion,
always
so
great.
I only kind of remember. I hope I did embarrass myself a little because I said that I remember that I said I love pictures of Francine as I handed you a cover of somebody else. And you're like, well, this is, I'm like, concussion.
My mantra every morning as I'm walking to the show or whatever at a convention is I think to myself, don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. Because I always end up saying something like,
Yeah.
go up to one artist and call out somebody else's work, My brain gets mixed up when have so much around me,
Yeah, I just decided to own it. Though the most
That's good.
most embarrassing moment that collectively Tyler and Tyler sends his hello. He's working at his local library tonight. That was why he wasn't able to jump in with us again. He also loved Parker Girls. There were a number of we pick out our top 3 reads of the week every week for our normal issue, and there were a number of weeks during Parker Girls where you made both of our lists.
Nice. Thank you.
And that doesn't happen a lot. We generally
Wow.
have, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff that we both like, but it works out in such a way that like his top 3 would have been like my 4, 7, and 9, and my top 3 would have been his 5. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, no, we were at C2E2 a couple of years ago, and he got all excited talking to a guy in the crowd that he thought was Scotty Young. That eventually is like, I'm not Scotty who? Not only wasn't Scotty Young, didn't know who Scotty Young was.
Oh, well, I'm sure I've done that. I'm
He was a
sure.
very nice guy, but I'm laughing because I have the angle where I can see Scotty Young at his booth while Tyler's talking to the guy, and I keep tapping him on the shoulder to go,
Tyler can't defend himself. He's not here. This is mean.
Yeah. It's okay,
told
Tyler.
about,
I've done that.
yeah, I told about, thinking I wasn't allowed in Artist Alley. I think that's still worse.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm sure that I've been set up next to Scotty several times, especially at C2E2. And I'm sure I've walked up to Scotty thinking he was Colleen Duran,
I mean,
my
look
head just doesn't
very,
work.
very similar.
They're both blonde. Give me a break.
I mean, her beard is a little shorter.
Her beard's in back. It's long hair, beautiful long hair. No, but I mean, my brain gets all mixed up when
Oh yeah.
Because when you're
It's sensory overload.
it is because my studio it's like living as a captive in a tower, and I spend every day here, and then you go out and get blitzed, and it's just overload. And I see that in other artists too. It's not just me. I see it in some of the other ones that are just working nonstop and making 1 or 2 books a year. I mean, they're just cranking. And, the regular people think that artists have a balanced life. Like, oh, you just work a few hours a day and then you go for walks in the woods and all that. Like one of those comic strip guys that has you read about all this, oh, I get away on a boat or whatever. And I was seeing the other day that Frank Frazetta was saying, I can't stand being cooped up inside. I got to go out and experience life. And otherwise, what do I write about, draw about? But in my crowd, in the indie crowd, and the guys who just really obsess over doing pinups and all that, some of them, including me, lead a very unbalanced life. Like I will binge draw like 12 hours a day. And especially when I was putting a book out every 6 weeks for 30 years, you have to binge work, which means no, you don't go work out. You don't go to the movies. You don't go, you don't watch the insipid TV shows for 2 hours to wind down. You just work, and you listen to your music and you just keep thinking about it. So it's an unbalanced life. And then you go to a show and there's 10,000 people there, and you're used to taking like an hour and a half to make a drawing. And somebody says, there are 9 people in line. And can you draw me Gwen Stacy right now? And I have about 4 minutes. No, I can't. I don't know how to do that.
No, I really can't. Sorry.
I don't know what to do.
Stick figure going Stacy.
And it really helped to have Robin there because Robin is, of course, not bothered by, she can handle anything. And so she would talk to people and all that. And I could just focus on like, okay, well, I'll just focus on doing these drawings here. So it was a good team.
Yeah. So what was because when we talked last, you were excited to be able to get back. I think you were only doing, we talked with, wasn't it Heroes a year and a half ago? Was your first one back out?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think we talked a couple months before that.
After COVID, yeah.
And you were really excited for it. So in your year back out, any great con memories? Any moments that stand out as
Yeah.
this is so
The same show I was just telling you where I turned grumpy on
New York?
in New York. But on Friday or Saturday night, we went to a hotel, really, really nice hotel, just to go to the bar and meet up with Billy and Debbie Tucci and Adam and Allison, Adam Hughes. And so Robin and I met them there for drinks in the bar downstairs because there was a great big Maxwell Parish mural over the bar.
Beautiful.
And I don't even remember. I'm supposed to know what hotel that is. I should remember that. But anyway, it was a beautiful one. And the guy who used to own that hotel you'll know the painting that I'm describing. It's a king and several men are around him, a king on his throne, several men around him, and they're all smiling and laughing and all that. And the king is smiling. And that's the painting over the bar. And it turns out that the king is actually the multimillionaire who owned that hotel, John Astor, I think maybe.
So would this be the Regis Hotel and the Old King?
The St. Regis?
Yep.
Is it the St. Regis or the Regis?
I'm seeing it both ways.
Because there was a St. Regis in London. Yeah. And if you look at the bar Maxwell Parish painting, I think that's John Astor back in the 1920s or 30s, whatever. And they were telling me the story. I think Billy was telling me that John and his wife were on the Titanic. And he put his
Does that look right?
That's it. So that's John that's his likeness of the king. And then the two men are the other guys in Maxwell and John's drinking buddy group, the pals. So it's as if he put, us there as the court jesters smiling. And the joke of it is that the king has just let out a big fart and everybody's smiling about it.
I love it.
That was their humor. Anyway, John and his wife were on the Titanic, and when it started having trouble, he put her on the boats, and he stayed on board with the men and sang while the boats went off, and the women were saved, and the men all went down with the band playing and all that. He was one of the guys on the deck that went down with it.
No.
So it's a very poignant story, really.
Yeah.
All his money could not save him. Just like it was an Emerson, Lake and Palmer song. His money could not save him, so he laid down and he died.
I mean, maybe that's what we get with all of the billionaires getting into rocketry.
It's just a matter of time till they try it themselves. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going up in this one. Yeah.
Though, I mean, it's come up a couple of times, there was a time when our ridiculously rich people paid for artists. Why don't we have that anymore?
Yeah, the patrons. Yeah.
Right. Now patrons are people who give you $1 to $10 a month for the site that you hopefully get enough to actually make a dent.
The bad thing about the era of the patrons, the royal patrons and the billionaire patrons, was you had to paint what they wanted you to.
That's true.
I want you to paint a beautiful portrait of my wife with a horse face.
Right. Except to make her
and do not insult me or I will ruin you.
You need to make her beautiful while also not making her think that you're not drawing her. Or we might have to do something to your hands.
Yeah.
Not saying what, but hot oil could be involved.
Yeah, the patrons there was a catch to it, it wasn't a free ride. So I like the era that we have in comics right now where there are art collectors and buyers who uh, they keep track of the artist and they help the artist, inspire the artist to draw better and better and better. I would love to get my art to a better level amongst the collector group, where I could get into the next tier and the next tier and the next tier, you know. And so it really helps spur us on. It's
See,
it's
now
the
that
opposite.
fascinates me.
I mean, Terry, is there a next tier where you're alive? Because
I-
some of those next
Yes,
tiers, some of those next
yes,
Your
tiers
tiers are clearly
involve
different
you.
than mine.
yes.
I
There,
feel like you're pretty close to the top.
it's getting better, but yes, there are multiple, you think there's one more, but no, there's a bunch more. And then there's that one where in my lifetime, please.
Okay,
And there's
so I have to
after
ask,
that.
who's in your top tier that you want to be with?
Oh my God. Well, everybody we could ever talk about. I mean, living artists.
Sure.
I mean, the era that I'm in.
Yeah.
I just absolutely adore. Okay, every single person I've mentioned, Adam Hughes and
Yeah.
Colleen Duran, there's two artists right there that are going to
I
leave
love them.
a hell of a legacy. They've got a legacy already in their own lifetime, and that art is going to be around for a very long time. And you know why? The difference between somebody who can just draw pretty pictures versus somebody who has a legacy, like the great artists, the icons you're still talking about them 100 years later, is
Mhm.
because their art tells a story. They don't just paint, oh look, there's Wolverine. They
Right.
would draw like Wolverine in the middle of a story that you will wonder about for a long time.
Well, I
The visual.
I've broken it down, and you do all of these well. The artist job, if you're making like the film comparison, the writer is just the writer. The artist is the actors and the director of photography and the entire lighting crew and the costume designer um and some artists do okay with that and some artists do really well with that and other artists, can do with a line or two enough to make you go, "Oh, she's mad." Or she's mad but she's also sad. Or the way the hip is cocked will make you go, "Oh, watch out." I mean, there's you and half the time when I talk to artists that do it well, like yourself, and I'll ask you in a second, it turns out they don't even like think about it. They just do it naturally. So my question is, how much do you think about things like posture? How much do you think about precisely what the eyes look like? Or are you just thinking
Well,
of the mood of the character and having it come out?
but the difference here is Terry also wrote the story. So
Yeah,
he's got the
yeah,
inside track, right?
that's true.
Which means I know what I'm looking for.
Right.
Exactly.
But you know who answered your question is Miles Davis and Pat Metheny. Both of them say the same thing about it. It's when you're a musician, you spend your first half of your life learning all the how to do it. You learn all the theory, you learn and I'll go back to art. You learn all the anatomy, all the techniques, all that you put it all into your brain, and then you try to forget it. And then you try to be yourself, and it just comes out when you need it. You don't sit down and think, I'm going to draw like Bernie Wrightson on this one. No, you just sit there and you're just doing those clouds and you start doing those matched horizontal perpendicular lines and you're thinking, that's looking a lot like Bernie Wrightson, who actually got it from, what's his name, Booth, 100 years
Right.
ago. And,
Right.
and you start thinking about all the art history as you're working on. And we're all standing on somebody's shoulders, but the artist is the same as the musician. You spend the first half of your life learning how to do it, and then you try to forget it and then just do it. Um, like like skateboarding or riding a surfboard or something like that. It becomes intuitive, and but now you have a lot of intuition to pull from.
See, that makes me think of two things. First, I've heard that Matheny, and for Miles too, but where I heard it most interesting from Matheny, he was actually doing an NPR interview ages ago, where he kept knowing all sorts of things, and the interviewer was like, "Oh, you must have been a great student." He just started laughing, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "I figured out when I was like 14 that if I wanted to be a jazz musician, I was going to have to know this stuff down cold. So I pretty much stopped going to school and was just playing chords over and over and
Yeah.
over and
And
over and
again,
over again until I didn't even have to think about it."
and again, there's the obsession part.
Right.
You get to the great musicians or the great artists, they all had the same lifestyle, which was they decided to focus on this and they put all of their effort into that.
But
You
then
know,
since
you don't get to be Van Halen by living a balanced life.
right,
Mm.
but then since you brought up Miles, have you seen this?
And
Miles
the Search
Davis
for
and the
Soul
Search for Sound.
found? No, I haven't.
Dave Chisholm from Z2 Press.
Oh no. Very cool. A graphic novel about Miles and
Uh-huh.
is coming up.
Uh-huh. It's been out for a
That's
little while now.
wonderful.
Oh, it's amazing. And Dave, this is actually Dave is a PhD in jazz trumpet and teaches both music and cartooning at I think Rochester Tech in New
Well, I
York.
love Dave already.
Yeah, you would get along with Dave. I've had him on. Maybe I'll try to drag you back because he's supposed to come talk about Miles, but keeps being busy. His previous book, the one that he has come on, it's called Enter the Blue, was
Mhm.
actually commissioned by Blue Note for their 80th birthday.
How cool is that? And it looks wonderful.
Oh no, his art is amazing. Um,
I listen
oh,
to
here's
a
one of the
lot of
pictures.
Miles and Chet Baker every single day on my jazz playlist. That's really good. I love
Yeah.
that illustration.
Dave Chisholm, both of the books are available from Z2 Comics, which does lots of music books and seems to have gotten,
Highly recommended.
yeah, they do it well.
Yes.
If I think about it, I'll send you a link. And I'll definitely reach out if I manage to get Dave back on because we had fun with him, but if you're a jazz guy, you'd really have fun with him. I mean, I'm a jazz guy, but I'm not enough of a jazz guy. He flew over my head sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I only know my little corner,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's a whole, yeah, there are people who just obsess over it and have beautiful record libraries and all that.
I know a few.
Yeah.
I know a few. Yeah, no, actually, that was the other thing I liked about Into the Blue is he'd originally planned to write. He came in to pitch a nonfiction book to them, and he gave this like 20-minute, half-hour pitch, and they're like, "Well, that sounds wonderful, but we actually wanted you to do something fictional, kind of about creativity and whatnot." And he had to like pivot and come up with. He said he managed to come up with like a 5-minute spiel on the spot that they still bought. But then he's like, "But I've got all these great blue." So he weaved in like the history into
Clever,
the
clever, Parker.
right.
Um,
Um,
you know what I learned from the jazz guys was once you start listening to jazz, it's really, really hard to listen to simple pop music that just is based on the same three chords or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't go back. And I I saw one time somebody explaining how classical music works, and it's a lot like jazz as well. And I took the lesson that I learned from that music thing and I applied it to my comic book stories and my art and all that. And what they said is when you get into jazz and classical music, the really great stuff, not the crap, the great stuff, is that they're not playing on a two-dimensional plane. They're playing in a 3D box so that you have layers of the foreground, the middle ground of music, and then the background music. And they can all be doing different things. And the music lesson that I was watching when I learned this principle was a simple pianist talking to an interviewer and playing Chopin and saying, look, my right hand is going to play what's in the foreground of the room. And then my left hand that Chopin wrote, it's another melody, and I play it softer, and it sounds like it's in the back of the room. And the two are not the same. It's not chords and a melody. It's two totally different melodies happening at the same time. And suddenly, when he played it like that, your head could picture 3D space, and you could picture 3D like there was the foreground music and the background music, and it was coming from one piano player. And that was the epiphany where I understood why we're still talking about, a guy from Poland 125 years later. And that's exactly the same thing with the the great artists. They did the same thing. There was something to look at immediately, and then there was something to look at 5 minutes later, and then you'll see something else next month.
Right.
There's layers in the art. And I learned all these lessons a few years back, probably 5 years back, and I really tried applying it to my work so that the story had, okay, there's the front of the story, then they did this, then they did this, then they did this, and then they did that. And then there's the middle of the story, which was the subtext, like the secondary characters, what they're doing in the back and how it's affecting the front. And then there was the back wall, which was like really where your emotions came from. It was more like where you try to get the reader to care if these people are going to make it or not. It's not from that roller coaster ride up front, the sequence of events. That's just to keep you busy. The middle one was the subplot just to make it clever. That back wall is where you try to get people to care whether your characters are going to make it or not. And you can write like that, and then when you start drawing the panels, you start thinking like, okay, it says here all I need to do is go to the counter and pick up the teacup and pour a cup of tea. But if I also put that middle group in there, the secondary character on the side, and the character's giving a disapproving look because way back at the first of the book, they said that tea is killing you. You're addicted to it. And then you think, okay, there's those two layers. Then the third layer, it's like, why do you even care if the tea is going to kill that person? So somebody pouring the tea, say, Kachu, we've already established that maybe she has a child that really needs her. She needs to be around for a long time. And so you put the photograph of the child on the counter next to the teapot. And there you have your three-dimensional picture. There's three stories happening at the same time. It's not just like, oh, look, I drew a cute blonde with a teacup in her hand and a circle behind her. And that's what you try to do the first half of your life. Like, can I please just draw somebody that doesn't look grotesque? I'm trying to draw pretty. And then you think like, okay, people look at that for about 10 seconds and then it's over. What is the difference between like the drawing something really pretty, and that's cute, guys, good for you, thumbs up, versus like, there are pictures I cannot get out of my mind, like any panel from Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein. I will spend the rest of my life thinking about every Bernie Wrightson drawing I've ever seen. And it's because they're so dense and there's so much in there to see. I still cannot give you an inventory of what's in Frankenstein's lab. I'm still looking at it. I'm still finding shelves and rats and bats and, things like that. That's the difference between, basic stuff and that multi-layered stuff that really grabs people's attention and makes them think about you long after you're out of sight as an artist or a musician.
That leads me perfectly to, I'm certain that we asked you this the last time, but it's something that I know always evolves for me, so I like to ask it again. Talk to me about some comics that you love, but in particular, ones that you love that you don't get to talk about often enough because not enough other people seem to have gone, oh, I love that too.
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's go there.
Perfect. I love it. We get visual aids.
Yeah, there's the
For
bookshelf.
Matt and I.
So,
I'll try to describe them for the listening audience.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can show it all to you. So that side has the books that I just will never get rid of. That's the good stuff. That's where you're going to find like everybody we've talked about, plus, Frank Cho, Jason Lute, Scott McCloud, um, everybody we've wanted to meet in the last 10 years at a con. They're
Right.
almost all up there. Um, but things that I never get to talk about really are like Spirit of Wonder.
Don't
Have you
know
heard of
that.
it?
I have not. I
Oh
love it.
my
I love it
God.
when that happens.
Well, you're welcome. So this is the real Japanese book. I also have an English version. Where is it? Spirit.
Cover looks really nice.
I need my glasses. Don't file it next to the Spirit. You'll be forever confused.
It looks like Dark Horse did a
Yeah, they did in English, right?
yeah.
1 through 5.
I got
Matt's
it.
already finding it to buy it because that's what Matt does.
Hey, I take recommendations seriously.
I do too. I mean, I'm looking for it. You just find them faster. You were the one that managed to find China's like long out of print. She thought she destroyed all the copies book.
Yep. And she probably hates me for it.
I think it's a love-hate thing.
I can't. It's hard to find right now because I just reorganized my shelf to get all the big books over here on the bottom shelf.
Yeah, that's I get that one. Sometimes I have to build more shelves too.
Mm.
Um,
Shelf space is always at a premium.
It is.
okay, I'm going to just pull some books that had a big influence on me here, and then. I'll just start with these. She's up there somewhere. Anyway, Spirit of Wonder, I love it so much because I'm a huge manga fan. And there's
Okay.
two types of manga. There's the anime looking stuff, and then there is the more this stuff that is a little
Right.
more rendered and
Right.
classic. Would you call that classic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Japanese comic art,
Mhm.
Yeah.
where it has that beautiful screen print tones and
Mhm.
that classic that style. Anyway, this is my favorite of the classic Japanese manga. Don't take this opportunity to recommend another title by somebody else. It's all about this one. And the reason I love this one is because this adorable lady named Miss China runs trying to run a boarding house. And there's a kooky professor that lives upstairs making kooky experiments. And then there's a boy who's very much like my character David, the nice guy, who wants to be, involved with Miss China, but Miss China's too frisky and feisty, and she's beautiful and has quiet moments, but she's very feisty and she's very much like Kachu. So I really related to the story. And the professor upstairs is totally useless for 75% of the time. And then he will come up with an experiment to lasso the moon and bring it down right on top of the boarding house. And you have a beautiful moonlight night. So it has a magic to it as well. There's kind of like a picture of that. There's a lot
I
of
love
just a lot of magic and
I love
imagination.
the shading.
The characters are adorable, and I mean, come on, how would you not want to read all about that character right there?
Very
So,
much so.
yeah,
So who introduced you to Spirit of Wonder?
I found it because back in the 90s, I was going through, I went through a huge, well, actually through the 80s and the 90s, I was devouring Japanese anything.
Mm.
I love Japanese comics. And I went through tons of them. I read all of Sanctuary, like yeah, by Ikigami. Had this same highly rendered style, but very professional. So I went through a bunch of things like that, Crying Freeman, you know, all those classics from the 80s. And then I stumbled upon Spirit of Wonder, and that was it. That kind of did it. I mean, I haven't really gone dive back in anymore. Um, Now I love Japanese movies and Korean TV shows. There's a TV show from Korea that I love so much called Amazing Attorney Woo, about a lady who's a brilliant attorney, but she's autistic and quirky. Um, so I don't know. I just love the culture, and I love the art sensibility and everything. I follow a lot of people on Instagram from over there, and it inspires me. I find a lot of inspiration. Okay. On another note, a 100-year-old American artist, um, Everett Raymond Kinsler, who did a lot of the old magazine illustrations and um, paintings, for all the classic stuff. He was like Norman Rockwell, but he did more adventure and less
Okay.
hometown.
Hmm.
So yeah, he was a big deal back when you were trying to not get on the Titanic. And then in my lifetime, as a little kid in junior high, discovered Von Bodie and his Cheech
Ah,
Wizard stuff because
Matt's a big Vaughn Bodie fan.
I discovered him, because of National Lampoon magazine.
Mhm.
Okay.
When I was a little kid, that was still coming out long before the movies and all that. And in the back of the magazine every month, there would be a Cheech Wizard by Von Bodie. And it was so irreverent and dirty and sexy and funny. And, they would kick each other in the balls, and 14-year-old boys think that's hilarious. So,
I'm
yeah.
47. I think it's hilarious.
See, this is where I have to tell you the story. My wife just started teaching elementary school after a decade in middle school. And on her first day of school, she's watching the playground before school, and she sees these kindergartners taking turns hitting each other in the balls. Initially, she's looking at it and she's
I'm
going,
not laughing.
Is this happening?
but then eventually it got like aggressive enough that she went over there and she had to go to them. What are you guys doing? And one of them looked up at her and dead serious went, "We're playing tag."
Wow.
And she said, "That's not how you play tag."
No, you're Rochambeauing right now.
And she explained to them how they played tag, and they immediately changed and went and played tag that way and have since, which is
Oh,
why
Yeah.
our
Oh, that sounds
theory,
better.
our working theory is that one of them has an older brother that didn't really want to play tag with them.
Yeah, tag, you're it.
Yep.
Okay, well then Cheech Wizard is your ride. Okay, Jeffrey Jones, of course. If you get into that, I also discovered Jeffrey Jones in National Lampoon. There would be a Cheech Wizard, and then there would be an Idol page, a page of Idol. And Jeffrey was actually a full-blown painter who was very popular in the New York School of Painters. He's no longer with us, but brilliant talent. And one of the first people that I knew of in the art community that was transgender.
Yeah, I was about to say Jeffrey
Back when there was
Jones.
Jeffrey Catherine Jones. Back when there was zero support.
Yeah.
Guy did it all on his own. That person did it all on her own. So yeah, much respect on many levels. And then again, teenage boy influences the art of Doug Snade. Back when there used to be a magazine called Playboy, there was
I might remember that one.
Maybe might remember that
You
one.
mean the one with
The great articles?
well, no, it had the Kurtzman cartoons. Yeah, the
Yes.
one with the Harvey
And
Kurtzman
Little Annie
cartoons.
Little Annie Fanny.
Right.
I'm sure I have a book of those on there on the shelf too. But there was always this one full-page cartoon with this style right here.
Right.
And I could not figure out his signature. So the entire time growing up, I thought his name was Freyd. I thought, who in the world is Frayed? Anyway, you can see by his watercolors and his beautifully cartoon rendered people and the voluptuous ladies that he was wonderful. And eventually I was able to meet him at San Diego Comic-Con, and it turns out
Very cool.
he is a dapper gentleman, older gentleman from Canada. His name is Doug Snade, not Frayed. And Robin and I became friends with him and his friend, and we went to lunches together and all that, and just was a sheer delight, a delightful person on every level. So I'm so blessed to be able to get to meet many of the people that I admired so much growing up.
That's what I think. For me, I mean, getting to talk to you, that's been like, I love the comics community and how welcoming it is. And this is where I'll thank you again for being willing to talk to us twice now. That's little podcast that can.
I wasn't going to do it until you told me there was $20 in it for me.
I thought it was just the t-shirt.
Oh, now we're bargaining.
I mean, okay, wait a minute. I already bought the Kickstarter, man.
I'll sell you the guitar for $20. I only got 15.
True story.
Love it.
Terry, it is always a pleasure. Matt, since you're here, you get to take us out. You came up with the
Yay.
catchphrase.
And we will continue after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.